Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. A little bit of bite down boxing. Please do check me out at roundbyroundboxing.com, as well as just put up a new piece at bitedownboxing.com for just a way that I look at or do some promoting for some bouts where I do a mix of boxing and hip hop. So there's a just put up a post about one of my favorite MCs, Ghostface Killer, as it relates to Keith Thurman as he goes out this upcoming weekend for the PBC on Fox pay per view. Pacquiao Thurman. So check that out. Also put up the this past week's podcast. It was just me on there this week. That's at leftjaballnightboxing.com. Bite Down Boxing with R.L. Woodson. So you can check all that out. Just some quick thoughts on Daniel DuBois. I did hear him on the call last night or yesterday afternoon, referring to him as DuBois versus DuBois or DuBois, but gets the fifth round win against Nathan Gorman. Pretty good fight. I mean, I like a lot about DuBois. He is a little bit reckless. He is a little bit repetitive with the way that he gets into the pocket to get that right hand off. And Gorman, he was trying to land that overhand right. I think was what he kept trying to shoot at different times to disrupt that. He only really was successful a couple of times. He did land a couple of left hooks or uppercuts. I'm sorry, before things went bad for him there in the fifth. One thing that I like about DuBois, in addition to his motor and his aggressiveness, he goes for it. It doesn't look like he's out there necessarily trying to go 12 rounds, but his stamina, despite all of that aggression and trying to make things happen and mix it up, it doesn't seem like his endurance or stamina is something that troubles him. So it's good to see a guy that's that big, throwing, with bad intentions, and leaving himself open. Possibly taking one to land two, or just to get his heavy artillery off. So I like. He's big. He's not really robotic. Decent agility. But like I said, he acts like he's there to put on a good show. Did some good work with the jab. He takes a pretty decent shot. You saw Lardy the last time out, and Gorman, who's not the most heavy-handed guy among the heavyweights, but you saw him catch him a couple times, and he didn't really waver or anything. So it'll be interesting. That's a heck of a contrast to what us in the States had to look at Friday night with the Saginaw, Michigan prospect, Jermaine Franklin, in his fight against Jerry Forrest, which he got a decision. But he was one of the leading American heavyweight prospects. And then we look at DuBois. That's a hell of a contrast right there. So I think that was for what, the British heavyweight crown. So the dude's pretty active. I mean, that was his second fight. I think it was in 84 days or something was his the time since his last fight. So yeah, man, like I said, I thought it was a short filling out process, good build up to this one going into it. I guess Tyson Fury is Gorman's cousin. And he was out speaking highly of Gorman and talking him up, and the guys jumped into it in the middle of the second round. There was that big flurry. Like I said, man, DuBois is just a massive dude. For him to get moving around like that quickly and for the leather to be flying was impressive. I like the way that he came out of that, regrouped, and just applying pressure with his positioning. Constantly walking towards you, and even when he's not throwing punches, just his motor it keeps his opponents on guard and under pressure, under duress. And I do think, with that said, he did double up the jab, I think, on that finishing sequence, but maybe he could add some feints to his game here and there, so that guys don't time him coming in, on that 1-2. There was something else I just reminded myself of. Oh, and then with Gorman, in the being counted out, getting up just a tad late, and then briefly arguing. I didn't think he got caught with the most vicious punch. It was back on the ear, maybe above the ear, slightly behind it in that area. And I'm sure it rattled him around a little bit, especially after maybe it was an accumulative effect, of the punishment, possibly. But I definitely thought he could have got up and fought on. I mean, the fight pretty much was that, it was pretty much going one way from that point forward, and he put up a pretty decent battle. He was leaking a little bit, I think, for a round or two. I'm not gonna knock the guy too much for how it ended. Like I said, I think the fight was pretty much decided. He lives to fight another day. And like I said, I thought it was a pretty good scrap. It was interesting to see those two guys put in against one another at that stage. Like I said, in contrast to see the opponent that we saw for Franklin Friday night on the Showbox on Showtime, and Jerry Forrest, who actually, exceeded expectations with what he was able to get done. So, and probably earned a decision, and should have won that fight. But anyway, man, I'm interested in seeing what's next for DuBois. How they moving. In terms of that Jennings and Joe Joyce fight, I didn't, the cars were a little too wide to me, and I don't really feel too bad for Jennings. Him complaining about the outcome of the fight, or him losing the fight. I saw on Instagram, I believe, where he said he watched the fight finally, and he thought he won it. He's kind of at that stage where he's old enough and experienced enough to where he's fighting and keeping score at the same time. And, you run the risk of, you might be fighting a smart fight and doing some good work and doing some good things. But you're probably gonna, be your own biggest cheerleader, and kind of inflate what you are getting done versus what's really getting done. I think Joe Joyce won it, but it was closer than what some of the cards, or two of the cards, were. But again, you take that fight, you go over there, you know what you're up against, and you gotta go get it and leave no questions. And I thought he fought it up. His work rate definitely didn't secure the win for him. And he looked like, I'm not going to say he was just there to get a check, but he squandered an opportunity to reinsert himself, back in the picture for really meaningful stuff. So, he probably gets another challenge or two against, maybe he's a future opponent of DuBois or something. Maybe not. But all in all, man, like I said, not overly impressed with what Joe Joyce was able to get done. But he was in against a guy who was going to be able to box well going into that. And I think he's more of just looking to hurt somebody, a slugger. He's an older guy. And I think the writing's on the wall for what's going to happen to him, once he does find himself way into contention. So let me get on off here, man. I got to make a run. Plenty of action I still got to see. I didn't see much of the PBC action. And I saw some of the zone action. I watched all of the top ranked stuff. So I got plenty of stuff to get to myself. Let me get on out of here, man. Peace.